On this week's Gridiron Report, we have the end of the Tigers' first half of the season, Pistons Summer League, and some miscellaneous Lions stuff to go along the way, so let's get into it.
In the heart of the city where the lights grow dim, grit and grind every inch, every rim, from the underdogs rising to the legends that win. It's the Gridiron Report, let the games begin. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retire, Gridiron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on blast, beats thundering loud, champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report, where the stories are proud.
Welcome to the Gridiron Report, your Lions First All Detroit Sports Podcast presented by Mic Drop Studios. Today is Wednesday, July 16th, and we are finally halfway through the season for the Tigers. Boy, do they need it, but right now we have multiple guys going in the All-Star game.
Yeah, man, I was so pumped for this All-Star game. I know we talked about it last week. Six Tigers are in the All-Star game. 4 of them are starters. I was pumped. We're in the 4th inning right now. It's literally on as we're recording. I mean, much like this last week of the season for the Tigers, I think that's kind of how that first inning of the All-Star game went as well. I mean, you have our leadoff guy Gleyber Torres, and then batting second Riley Green. Both of them get just struck out by Paul Skeens. Of course, Paul Skeens he's incredible. He's so fucking good. But yeah, he struck out both those boys, and then in the bottom half of the inning, Skubal comes up and gives up 2 kind of more bloopers. One was a bloop to the outfield. The other one was literally an infield hit, and then a rope down the line for a bases clearing double. Yeah, not a great showing from our boys in the All-Star game so far, but it's only the 4th inning, so hopefully those boys get a couple more at bats at least. I think Scoop's night's very much done already, but I mean, it seems like that first inning is kind of a microcosm for the last week of baseball that the Tigers have had, and just there were some struggles, man. And I mean, it's not like the sky's falling down at all, but I'll let you break it down. Yeah, getting swept by the Mariners, it's just really not how you want to, go into this All-Star break. Stuck at 59 wins, still the best team in baseball by record, but really that pitching staff's been just getting smoked for like a month straight. So, I mean, I'm a bit concerned about that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and so trust me, I have plenty to say about this team. Probably too much, just because I think as we're going through this first season, of Tigers baseball on the Gridiron Report, you and I are definitely finding our way and our getting our footing with this. And I've definitely have felt like I've kind of taken the cautious, more, if anything, a little more pessimistic role this season. So I definitely have a lot to say on that. But a few more things on the All-Star game. I want to just give us credit real quick, because when we recorded last week, Tigers only had 4 guys in the All-Star game, and we called, we called to action. We said we need these guys in. We need Casey Mize in. We need Zach McKinstry in. And then what did they do? Within 24 hours, both those guys were headed to the All-Star game. So just credit to us, maybe, for, putting our foot down and saying, MLB, enough is enough. Get our boys in there. It's the first time we've had this many Tigers in the All-Star game since, that picture's floating around Twitter with Miguel Cabrera and Torrey Hunter and, Prince Fielder, Verlander, Scherzer and stuff. So it's kind of a blast in the past. Nice to see those guys. But like you said, not a great starting. I think in general, just to take the pressure a little bit off the Tigers, the American League is kind of getting their ass kicked a little bit up and down the lineup here to start the game. So it's not just us, but the last thing I'll say on the All-Star game is that I guess we did break a little bit of history here, because Tarek Skubal was the first pitcher to call the automatic umpire review check, or whatever they called it. He threw a strike, thought it was a strike. Of course, he was mic'd up and talking to the booth when he threw that, and they were telling him from the booth, you gotta challenge that. And he did, and the call was reversed, and it was a strikeout. So that's going to go down in history. If we come away from this game having had no guys get on base from the Tigers team, at least we're in the history books in that way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, special. I mean, why even play the rest of the game? That's just a special moment right there. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think like I said, there's a lot of baseball left, so plenty of time for the American League to pull back, pull ahead. Hopefully, like I said, our guys get a couple more at bats, maybe a hit, maybe a dinger. But yeah, we'll keep you guys posted as we're recording. But I think the bigger scare for me is this pitching staff. Mm-hmm. I know you had the stats up there, but I mean, just the Seattle Mariners series alone, 35 runs in 3 days given up by the pitching staff. I mean, that's tough, man. That's tough. And I will say one good thing, the Tigers have the 7th easiest remaining schedule for the second half of the season per Fangraphs. So, yeah, I mean, certainly no cause for concern there. I mean, there's going to be a lot more wins for the boys the rest of the season. But yeah, I mean, that last series, I think it just really shows that this pitching staff, they need help, and Scott Harris needs to do something at the deadline.
Yeah, so we will definitely break down more so next week about the trade deadline as we're getting in. Next week will probably be our deadline breakdown. But I'm like I'm very concerned. I'm a little bit disgusted by this team in general over the last 30 days. And to me, in my dumb brain, I was not really liking anything I was seeing, both offensively, defensive, the pitching, the batting, the running. I didn't really like any of it, and it was unfortunate. And so that, I obviously had to dive into the numbers and see if I'm justified in thinking that, if just a feeling I was way off base on. So I did dive into the numbers just to see, like, okay, the first 2 months of the season, this is how we were performing. Let's just look at the last 30 days to see, because it's felt really bad over the last 30 days. And to my surprise, I was right about the pitching. You mentioned the pitching. The pitching has been terrible over the last 30 days. Like that, I think everyone knew that. The batting actually isn't that bad. It's been pretty on par since, the start of the season. And what we thought was a really hot start of the season is kind of now just rolling into the norm for the Tigers this season, or what we hope to maybe be the norm. It hasn't dropped off as much as I felt like it had just by watching the games and using the eye test. So I guess if you're going to take away, you mentioned having an easy schedule the rest of the year, that's, obviously a plus. If there's going to be another plus, it's going to be that, like, the batting hasn't really dropped off any bit. And this is with guys like, Parker Meadows looking completely lost at the plate, and Matt Vierling, who clearly is still in spring training mode because he's, got a late start to the year at the plate. So, but pitching has been bad. So just these numbers over the last 30 days, the rankings in the MLB, the Tigers have gone for hits given up. They went from 19th, which is a weird stat, but it's good. And then they went down to the ninth most hits given up over the last 30 days. For runs given up over the first 2 months of the season, they were 20th. Again, kind of sounds a little backwards, but that's good. Over the last 30 days, they're fourth in giving up the fourth most runs in the MLB. ERA, they've gone, now it's the opposite. ERA, they had the eighth best over the first 2 months of the season. Over the last 30 days, they're now the 20th best ERA as a pitching staff. And then home runs given up, 15th to 9th worst. So it's kind of all up and down the card. You're looking at guys like, we joked around last week about like Tarek and having somewhat of a walking problem, and we joke about it, but like he walked a few guys over the last, which is just not normal for him. But then you look at Jack Flaherty, who has been shelled the last few times, and he's kind of had this up and down season. Started really poorly and then really found his groove, and we're like, okay, he's fine, and now he's getting shelled again. And you have all these other guys going down. It's very concerning, and I think not to dive too much into the cautious, pessimistic side, 1-2 tandem of this show here, I think this is more the team I expected. Like, this is the team that when you and I did the predictions at the beginning of the season, I had them just barely missing the playoffs. You had them just barely in. I think we're not that bad, but I think that's like we're finding this level. We're not going to be the best team in baseball. I don't think we're quite as bad as we both predicted, but I think we're definitely finding our level. And that level, in my opinion, isn't a World Series roster, World Series pitching staff. And so they absolutely need to do something at the deadline if they want to keep that dream alive. If the last 30 weeks has told, or 30 days has told us anything,
you got it.
It's that you got to do something.
Yeah, you got that there. You got there. And I just want the record to show that I did predict them to win the AL Central. So, didn't have them squeaking in the playoffs. I had them firmly making the playoffs. But
okay, I mean, a blind squirrel find is not. The AL Central is a JV softball team. So
who could have seen that coming? Not me. But yeah, no, it's. I think it's a culmination of some injuries to the pitching staff too. I mean, you have Reese Olson, who just came back. So it's great to see him back in the starting lineup, and he's pitching pretty well. So yeah, I mean, with him out, they're throwing one bullpen games. They were already throwing basically one bullpen game, per 5 starts, right? Just not really having that fifth starter. Job goes down. There's still no word of Alex Cobb. I think he might have died. I'm not really sure. Thoughts and prayers.
I was going to bring him up, yeah.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to Mrs. Cobb. I'm pretty sure you're a widow now, but either way, like, so you don't have that guy. You paid like $15 million or whatever. I digress on Alex Cobb, but Job goes down. Reese Olson, he was hurt. So you're throwing a lot of bullpen games. You're throwing a lot of, shit at the wall and hoping that something that sticks. They had, a few guys up who was their first couple starts. So, I mean, I get it. And I think that just goes to show you you have what you think is a really good pitching staff, and then you lose a couple guys to injury. Yeah, you got to, what do you do? You got to go get an arm at the deadline. So I'm really pumped next week to break down a couple of guys that, we think that we can go out and get. and hopefully not, selling that farm system either, and still keeping that cupboard very much stocked for the future. But I mean, right now, if you want to make a deep run in the playoffs, if you have aspirations for winning a World Series, you're not going to do that with this current staff, given the injuries that they have. You don't just want to punt to next year and say, Job is maybe going to be healthy next year. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. That return timeline is probably more than a year for Job. So yeah, I think you're absolutely not punting to next year. You're going at the deadline. You're getting an arm and probably a bat as well, and you're making a splash in the playoffs. That's what I would love to see.
And like I said, going into the numbers, I thought we would need pretty much one of each: a bat, a starter, and a back end swing and miss arm. And then we'll get into this all next week, but just like a little preview as I'm thinking out loud here, like these numbers are telling me like the bats aren't necessarily the issue. Like I would just almost double dip and get a starter and a high end bullpen guy and just really reinforce that, because it's been ugly. I mean, and I know
That'd be fine with me.
it's a little bit of recency bias, and that you mentioned the ass kicking that the Seattle Mariners gave us at home. I mean, that was up and down. It was bell to ass day in and day out. They did whatever they wanted, and we literally had no answer. One of those games you and I were just randomly watching at the same time, and it was Chase Lee or something. He gave up 5 runs and threw 5
God.
pitches. Like, it was insane how bad. And these guys are guys that have been pretty good up to now in the season, but like I said, we were riding a high. Like, you can call a spade a spade. We were overperforming, in my opinion, over the first half of the season. Water's going to find its level. Now, we're not going to bottom out, but water's going to find its level. So as these guys start to, show their true colors and what they are, you gotta make some moves. So, again, we'll break that all down next week without getting too much into the weeds on, this guy and what would it take to give up and stuff like that, because no one knows what Scott Harris is going to do. But we do have a few other Tigers things going on. So we talked about draft week being last week. We did the snake draft of Detroit draft steals. On top of that, we had the MLB draft, which was on Sunday. So it's really interesting that they do it in the middle of the season from the previous year. So the Tigers had the 24th overall draft pick, and then also a 34th overall draft pick as a this word always screws me up, compensatory overall draft pick. So, and I mean, the MLB draft is I think it's like 25 rounds or something. So they took a number of different guys, but the 2 guys that they really zeroed in on, the first one, Jordan Yost with the 24th overall draft pick, 6 foot, 18-year-old shortstop from Tampa Bay, bats lefty. He right now is a Florida Gators commit. So it sounds like the word on the scuttlebutt was that if he was going to be going top 35, he was going to bail on his commitment to the Florida Gators and join the organization. We obviously took him at 24th, so it sounds like he will forego that college career and come join our minor league system. For him, again, without getting too much into the weeds, because these are both, these are 18-year-olds that we're not going to see for many years. For him, he's a plus defender, a real great runner at 6 foot, real great feel for the strike zone. Doesn't have a lot of power. He's extremely patient, so he has just a lot of bat to ball skills. The defense, the bat to ball skills, the running abilities, just has like leadoff hitter written all over him. And then the other guy that we took, again with 34th overall, was Michael Olive. If I'm mispronouncing his name, my apologies to Big Mike there. 6'3" center from New York. He's a Yale commit, so not so much of a powerhouse school program there. I haven't seen anything about whether he would sign with Yale or come play for us. I would assume, going as high as he did, he will be joining the minor league system there. For him, 6'3", a little bit difficult to keep him behind the dish. A lot of scouts are thinking he can stay back there just because he's pretty skilled back there, but it's kind of to be seen. He might be moved to the outfield. For him, he's kind of the opposite in that he has the 260, 30 home run potential. He's got a really pure swing, a real pure power swing that a lot of scouts are saying has that 30, 40 home run potential. The issue with him, though, is that a lot of these tests that go way above my head, people get paid a lot more money to look into them, are starting to suggest that maybe the power isn't that sustainable. The thing is, for both these guys, they were technically a little bit of reaches for both of them. So for Yost, he was considered by most the 74th overall prospect. We obviously took him at 24. Michael is, and this is just one publication I was reading, was ranked as the 219th, and we took him 34th. So it was a little bit of a reach on both of them, and that's, Scott Harris has done that. He reaches for guys. Kevin McGonigal wasn't a huge prospect. We kind of seemed to struck gold there. So the two of those guys probably could have gone later. And then it's just a little bit interesting that we both went with high schooler. Top two guys went with high school bats. And what it seems like a team that is kind of a win now team. We just talked about it for 10 minutes about how we need to add maybe a bat, maybe not a bat. Like getting a college bat really made a lot of sense for this team. So it's interesting to see them go with two high school bats that may or may not be up in the major league ever. If they do, it'll be at least like 3-4 years. And then the last thing to mention about the draft is, so those were our top two guys. The other 8, I believe, of our top 10 draft picks were all pitchers. So they just went right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. I mean, just back, they really went back to the well and just to try and restock our pitching prospect farm there. So again, the MLB draft is interesting in that they could still go to college. They could, you might reach on a guy because you are hoping to pay him less money, so then you could pay a guy in a later round more money in order to sway him away from college. So the MLB draft is super interesting and different and weird. Maybe that was the case and why we kind of reached with both these guys. But I mean, we got to trust in Scott Harris.
Yeah. The nuances are very weird. Yeah, that's a great point, and I don't even pretend to really understand all of them. But yeah, I know for Jordan Yost, you mentioned it, but certainly a reach. I mean, this guy, he's a great defender. He just can't really hit. I know you mentioned that maybe he has a good feel for strike zone. Maybe he's a contact hitter. Yeah, I just think that's not really translating that much to the league. I mean, every guy in the league can be a contact hitter if they want.
Unless you're Stephen Kwan.
Yeah, it's if you wanted to, but it's way harder than that, right? So I mean, this kid, I feel like he's just not a great hitter. So you're kind of drafting him to be that defensive guy. So you'll see if he even makes it to the league. But I do think it kind of makes sense to you mentioned that both these guys are high school, kind of a little bit more peculiar to take two high schoolers there. It kind of makes sense when you look at how loaded the farm system is right now. Those guys that are like already 20-ish years old, McGonigal's, Clarks of the world, Briseños. So maybe it does make sense to take two guys that are a little bit younger and let them still develop while, you still have those very, very good players still in the minor league system as well. And then when, the Max Clarks of the world are in the majors, then, hopefully these guys, Jordan Yost, Big Mike, Oliveto, maybe they're working their way up to like AA, AAA, something like that. So I don't know, maybe that makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, there's always just so much more risk taking a guy right out of high school. Very unproven. You really don't know what you're going to get. It's kind of, again, just throwing shit at the wall, hoping it sticks. Seems like Scott Harris is definitely doing that with all those pitchers taken as well. So we'll see. MLB draft is a crapshoot. We know it is, but Scott Harris has a pretty good track record, so we will certainly see.
Yeah, exactly. So just kind of going off that, he does have a great track record. Like we said, we had to trust in him. Just 2 days ago, we had the Rising Stars game in which we had 3 guys in it: Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, and Josue Briseño. Max Clark being his second Rising Stars game of his young career. So that was a few days ago. All 3 of those guys got into the game, got some shine on them. I want to say Kevin McGonigal, I don't have his numbers in front of me. Kevin McGonigal, I think, went hitless, 0 for 3 possibly. Max Clark went 1 for 1, I think, and stole a base. Everyone talks about his insane base running. And it's funny, on the broadcast, they were talking about his speed and base running, and they were literally saying, like, is he going to go here? And within seconds, he was off and stole second pretty easily. So we have to trust Scott Harris. We have 3 guys, 3 if not more, I don't have the numbers in front of me, guys in the Rising Stars game, and I believe that was either the top or one of the top, farm representation from all the teams there. So yeah, we have to trust in him. The only last thing I have about the Tigers that I want to get your opinion on, I read today, probably 30 minutes before we started recording, that Riley Green was actually invited to do the MLB home run derby. He was invited multiple times and turned them down each time, just basically stating like, if you watch the home run derby, you got to go pretty fast. You have to have a pace to it. You got to have a pretty quick short swing in order to stay on track there. And that's kind of the opposite of Riley. He has that long upward cutting swing, and so he just basically was like, it's not my time. It's not really made for me. Maybe down the line I will. But I didn't know that Riley Green was invited to participate in the home run derby with his 24 home runs. It's deserving so, but I didn't know he was invited. After thinking about it, like, I'm so glad he didn't. Like, I was just watching last night these guys swing over and over and over and over again, and all I was thinking of was A, injury, and B, like, is this form and like looking for these fastballs. And I didn't play that much baseball. I don't know how much it works like that, but like, I can only imagine that like kind of messes with your mind and your rhythm as you go into the second half of the season. So I was just happy that Riley, and the way Riley plays, I mean, Riley is like a 50-year-old man stuck in a 23-year-old body. So like, I'm glad he didn't, because he would definitely get hurt. But I didn't know he was invited.
He's like the slowest fast person of all time. Like
He runs like
looks
he's
like
in
running through
pain.
mud,
Yeah.
and then but he covers ground. He's pretty fast actually. But yeah, I this is news to me. I literally didn't even see it in the show notes until I'm looking at him right now. So I didn't know he was invited. I didn't know he declined it. Yeah, I really think these guys are professionals, and like any one home run derby isn't going to just drastically change their swing for the second half of the season. I think you could probably point to a couple guys in like the history of the home run derby where maybe it has affected them, but like the vast majority, yeah, I mean, I think it's one night. It's not really doing much at all. But if there is a guy where his swing is the most home run swing possible and the most derby swing possible, it probably is Riley Green, from a stance that, he actually uppercuts a swing more than I think any other player in baseball. So you would think that would translate perfectly to a home run derby. But yeah, you're right. He has such a long swing that he's probably not quite built for something like that. So who knows? He's 24 years old. A lot of those guys competing were a bit older. So maybe he does have a real good season down the road, and he decides, you know what, I just hit 28 dingers by All-Star break. I'm going to go hit in the Derby. So I wouldn't count him out for the future. But yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not butthurt or anything that he declined it. I would rather him, take a night off and rest. This is a very important season for us. But who knows? Maybe my mind will change down the road, and I would like to see a Tiger in the home run derby. It's been a while. I think we had Prince Fielder in like the early 10s when he was on the Tigers. Brandon Inge competed in it. We know how that went. What a fucking disaster that was. So yeah, I would love to see a little bit of redemption from Inge there, and maybe we see a Tiger lift up that crown too. But yeah, not super butthurt that Riley didn't do it.
Yeah, I'm very happy he didn't. Riley was made for the home run derby of old, that like you hit the ball and you have to wait for it to land and then you can hit the next one. Like if there's any sort of speed to it, because he has that swing that he has, that he's swinging for a home run every time, like him and Kerry would both be perfect for it. And like they're a little bit slower, wait till the ball lands to hit the next one. But they're both guys that I want, honestly, nowhere near it. So I saw that within 30 minutes of recording, thought it was interesting, did not know. We talked about like maybe Torque would be invited. We didn't know anything about that. So I thought that was really interesting. So let's keep moving forward here. I'm a little bit under the weather, so if it's coming through a little bit deep here, my apologies. But we do have a little bit of Pistons stuff. So the Pistons are going through the Summer League that, I know you, and a few of our buddies are watching Summer League, but not everyone. I would say most people don't give a shit about NBA Summer League. It's just a showcase for guys like us to take a look at.
It's so random. It was on at this random cocktail bar in Houston, and I look up and I see basketball on. I'm like, oh, I wonder who's playing. It's a Pistons Summer League game. I'm like, damn, we made it. The boys are national.
Yeah, well, and there is only a few on every single day, so it's not necessarily. I don't know if they have that many to go, but yeah. So, real quick, I don't want to get into the weeds about something like we said. There's not that many people that actually care and tune into it, but I wanted to give just like a real quick review of Summer League and what how our guys are doing. I wanted to call it just my 6-second summer review. I need more than 6 seconds though, so give me a few minutes here. So the Detroit Pistons have played 3 games. They were undefeated going into this afternoon. They ended up losing today to the Timberwolves, who have a really good summer league roster. They're 3-0. So the Pistons are now 2-1. Honestly, the main points about summer league are as follows. So you have Chaz Lanier, who is obviously our only draft pick this last NBA draft, 2nd round pick, the absolute movement, flamethrower shooter, the very Malik Beasley-like. From him, it took a little bit of time to get going, but he did exactly what he does in college, and that like he finds his movement, he finds where to get open on the court. He doesn't need many dribbles. He's very much like Klay Thompson, when Klay would light up the scoreboard and only use like 6 dribbles. Like Chaz can move without the ball really well and just put himself in positions where he can dribble once and get a shot up. He is not afraid to let it fly. Today he went 4 for 12 from 3, finished with 12 points. I believe the other day against the Houston Rockets, he finished 4 of 11 for 14 points. So he's putting up 10 to 12 3-point shots every single game, which is what you drafted him to do. He's not afraid. You'd want to see those numbers get up a tiny bit, but his first action in NBA at the NBA level, it's expected there. The other kind of main points, if we're too long didn't read, of the NBA Summer League for the Pistons, Bobby Klintman, the 2nd round draft pick last year, who a lot of people are penciling in as the backup point or power forward for the Pistons this upcoming year. hasn't really shown enough, in my opinion, and or in a lot of people's opinions online, to be that backup power forward. He's a 6'9", kind of a skinnier version of Tobias Harris, can shoot the three ball really well, passes the ball extremely well, but just hasn't really scored all that much during Summer League. He's passed the ball well, he's rebounded the ball pretty well, but he hasn't really done that well in the Summer League, in my opinion. The other sort of main thing to take away, and if all these are subjective, and so we might not see Chaz Lanier very much this season. We're probably not going to see much of Bobby Klintman this upcoming season. What we will see is Ron Holland. So Ron Holland, still just his second year in the league. So he's still playing on the Summer League, in the Summer League roster. For him, he's looked fantastic. A lot of people are saying he's looked too good for Summer League. I don't think that's really the case. But right now he's 9th in the league in points per game over his 3 games, averaging 21.5. But the main thing for him is his 3-point shooting. So he was very similar in Asar. Like they're great defenders, have high motors, really super athletic, but just were lacking a 3-point shot. Asar kind of got it going a little bit last year working with Fred Vinson. Ron Holland has shot the 3 ball extremely well this first 3 games. So this season, over the first 3 games, he's averaging about 5.5 attempts per game. And if the Summer League ends right now, which his Summer League might be coming to an end, he might find the time being shut down here shortly. He would finish Summer League shooting 54% from 3 at about 5.5 attempts per game. So he's hunting a shot. He's getting kickouts. He's doing everything you want him to do from the 3-point line. And so if that is actually for real, if that can carry over into this next offseason, the league better look out. That's the main thing. If you're taking anything away from Summer League, it's that Chaz Lanier does really well shooting without the ball, and that Ron Holland seems to have developed a perimeter shot, and the league better be on notice.
Dude, that's huge, man. Riverboat Ron, dude. I'm seeing over the first 2 games, 22 points, dude. Yeah, I'm pumped to see Ron Holland, and I hope that they do shut him down. I mean, he's played a couple Summer League games. Clearly, what is another 3 games gonna do? It's really just an injury risk at that point. So fine with shutting him down. And I'm super pumped to see Ron Holland to start this season. I mean, he has all the talent and all the skills. It's just that he's very raw, right? Like, can we put it all together? Similar to Asar Thompson, like these guys are just physically insane athletes, and the defense obviously will translate to the league right away, and then some of those other softer skills, those shooting skills, ball handling skills, I just think that for an 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kids, that they just need to develop that a little bit more out of college. Or I guess both those guys came from the G League, right? Or at least Asar Thompson did. But at any rate, I'm pumped. And Summer League always gets me so pumped for the NBA season. I know it literally just ended, so this is a nice little bridge, and then a little bit of a teaser, and then we got to wait until end of October, right, for the actual league to start. But yeah, let's go, Ron Holland, man, that's huge.
Yeah, it's just like preseason NFL. Like you see your preseason's for the guys trying to make the team and knowing what you have in reserves. And so the first maybe 1 or 2, you'll get your first round, your draft picks out there. But then after 1 or 2, you see what you have in them, and you sit them. So I would be shocked to see really any of the guys of Ron Holland's status playing throughout the rest of Summer League. And I honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't know how many more games there are in Summer League. There might be 2, there might be 8. I don't know. So we'll see how how they end up finishing with those. You do have guys like Dennis Jenkins and Tulu Smith, who are career Summer League, G League guys. They're playing fantastic. Unfortunately, there isn't so much. There's really not that many minutes to go around at the NBA level for them. They'll find themselves in the NBA rotation at some point throughout the season as injuries pile up. But they're playing really well in their Summer League. So again, I wanted to just kind of do my 6-second Summer League review. I needed more than 6 seconds just because when I get going and talking, this is what I do. I won't watch the NFL preseason. Summer League, I record these games. I watch them at least once, if not twice, because I have a problem. But let's keep moving forward. And this wouldn't be a Lions First All Detroit Sports podcast if we didn't talk even a little bit about the Lions, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's now a Lions third podcast, I guess, because we already touched on Tigers, Pistons. But yeah, I mean, it's off season, but we do have a Netflix show that just came out a couple weeks ago, Quarterback. So this is the second installment that Netflix has done. I think in the first installment was probably 2 years ago. I think it was 2023. They followed around Kirk Cousins, a couple different quarterbacks. This year, Jared Goff is in the mix. And Netflix and the Netflix cameras followed him around all of last year. So all the ups, all the downs, mostly ups, right? I mean, it's a 15-win team. That was all captured, including a lot of behind-the-scenes footage too. So I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Personally, I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I am planning on watching the rest of them. I think I'm just kind of spacing it out a little bit, knowing that we're not going to get football until end of August anyways. So you kind of gotta, you don't want to get your fix all at once, and then you're, just waiting for weeks and weeks. So I'm 2 episodes in, but it's been really good, man. I will say, and this is probably just my addiction to consuming Lions content, but a lot of the things that I saw in the first 2 episodes, I'm sitting there thinking, this is really cool. A lot of this cool behind the scenes stuff. But I've actually already seen a lot of these clips. Like, a lot of Netflix is using a lot of clips that, were borrowed straight from the Lions, from, locker room speeches and stuff that I've already seen. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's cool to relive it. But because I think the Lions do such a good job, and I think the NFL does such a good job of having a lot of those behind the scenes moments, I've seen a lot of those interviews already, after games, whatever, locker room stuff, all those little tidbits. I've kind of already seen it all. So again, it's probably just more my addiction to consuming literally any and every Lions content. But it's still, I'm still giving, Netflix a lot of credit. I think it is a very quality show.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's a lot of, and that I think that is just kind of comes down to how much you and I like, and our friend group and stuff, how much we circulate those kind of things, and that's probably why we've seen a lot of them. But like, I'm exactly like you in that, like, I know this has been out for a few weeks. I think Netflix dropped it probably a few weeks ago. I know people were talking about the Lions. Throughout the entire, since it's been dropped, like, you needed to space it out. Like, we talked about it last week. We're in the dog days of summer. Right now we have no Tigers going on and stuff outside the All-Star game. I can't just like binge all this in one night. I need this to last me like, at least 3 weeks. So I'm only 3 episodes in as well. Because I can't watch it all. It'd be too sad. Too much time in between now and whenever Hard Knocks is, and it's not gonna be the Lions. So like, I don't care that much about it. So I admit I'm also not in. I haven't finished it as well, but I found myself watching the first like 2 episodes, and like every time, and even if we've seen the clips before and talking about Jared Goff and how he was cast out from the LA Rams, and just like hearing him talk about, like, I just felt like this is where I belong, and like these people wanted me, and then like immediately cutting to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes like talking like they were how they weren't just like happy they got the deal done and they got draft picks for Matthew Stafford. Like, they were ecstatic that they got their guy, like they got who they wanted, and like it wasn't just like a throwing guy. Like, they're like, we're so happy that we were able to get you, not just like we were throwing. And that just gives me goosebumps every time I see that clip that pops up and Jared getting a little emotional there. There's nothing better than that, in my opinion.
Oh man, yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Something I definitely wanted to touch on as well. I just saw a 3-run bomb.
Yep.
I think the National League just blew this game right open. Polar Bear, Pete Alonso. Yeah, so sorry about that. But yeah, dude, I completely agree. And what was the first thing that, everyone said, that you heard from the media, from fans, whatever, when that trade broke, 4 years ago, whenever it was that, yeah, Jared Goff is he's being cast aside to the laughing stock of the league, the Lions, an absolute joke of an organization. And lo and behold, like, the guys who actually made that trade happen, this is basically the first thing they do when they, step in and run this organization, is they make this trade, Brad Holmes. And they knew what they had in Jared Goff. This was a kid who at the time was 26 years old at the time of the trade, maybe 25 going on 26. So former first round pick, still a ton of good years left, and maybe just coming off 1.5 down seasons, basically cast aside by the Rams. And yeah, Brad Holmes knew exactly what he had, and just to see that behind the scenes footage, the phone calls, or kind of more like reenactments of what happened, Jared's account of what happened, having Brad try to get a hold of him. Jared thinks it's a spam call or whatever, and his agent saying, pick up the phone, it's Brad Holmes, it's your new GM, and then just having Brad on the phone, having Dan Campbell on the phone, just so pumped. That gets me pumped, man. And I'm just talking about it right now. I'm so pumped for football season, dude. And the Lions to get some redemption.
I was watching it, just had a big old smile across my face. And then, Kirk Cousins, his section comes up, and, Joe Burrow comes up. And those are cool guys, too. I like both of them.
Yeah.
But I find myself, like, jumping on my phone and doing other stuff when they come on, and then when the Lions come back on, it's just a big smile on my face. Like I think I actually could get my wife to watch this quarterback shows with me just because like she loves the Lions and she knows Jared Goff and she knows Amon-Ra. And you mentioned they did the quarterbacks before. They also did the other show, the receivers, the receiver version of this before, and in which Amon-Ra St. Brown was featured in that. So like everybody wants Detroit. And it started back, when Hard Knocks, like everybody wants Detroit. We keep coming up like so. I feel like all these documentaries that get put out about Detroit, like we come away smelling so rosy. Like everyone is like, God damn, I just love Detroit. Like I want people who aren't from Detroit. They're just like, I can't help but root for them. And that's just so true of a culture that we've created. Like, and you better believe, like in some way or another, that's gotta help and at least sway a little bit with free agents, right? Like forever. We were a team that like nobody was coming to Detroit. It was cold. Everyone hated it. Everyone talked about how Detroit was so shitty and bankrupt the city and stuff like that. And like now, like all these things are coming out that like it's painting us in such good pictures that like if you haven't gone and watched this show, at least go and watch and speed through with the other guys. We don't care about them, but speed through and watch the Jared Goff stuff. Again, I'm only 3 episodes in. I can't wait to finish it. I'm just sitting there watching with a smile. Probably watch another one tomorrow, and then maybe I'll try and hold off until next week, try and space this out until we get to the Hall of Fame game. But actually, without even looking, I think the Hall of Fame game is it like the end of July?
It's coming up soon. I think maybe that first week of August but shit. What you just said a point, and I was gonna say, just about the Lions and that culture and people actually want to play for them now. People forget not too long ago, probably this might have been 7 or so years ago, 7-8 years ago. Gronk was like in the middle of getting traded to Detroit, and Gronk literally tells I think he told Belichick or Robert Kraft, whoever it was, like if you trade me to Detroit, I'm gonna retire. You are not doing that. Like, and so I mean, I'm kind of taking Gronk at his word there. I don't know why he would lie about something like that, but I think it just goes to show, that this disaster of a franchise was a place that no one wanted to play for. Fast forward only probably 5-6 years, and now everyone wants to play. It's just a culture of winners, and I say that a little facetiously because they haven't won that much yet, but they still they're stacking up playoff wins and they have Super Bowl aspirations. And imagine just saying that, like even 4 years ago, imagine saying the Lions have Super Bowl aspirations every single year. You'd probably think that's never going to happen. It's the Lions, same old Lions, and now they are not the same old Lions. They are the brand new Lions, and it's awesome, man. I'm so pumped for football season.
Yeah, just as a side note, Casey Mize has entered the All-Star game. 2 pitchers, 1 out, fly out to outfield. So Casey Mize is now in the game. But I like that point you just made in that like we have Super Bowl aspirations, because I have on our show notes like just to continue the Lions talk, because I'm like fiending for Lions discussions and like cannot wait till we get closer. And I did look it up. The Hall of Fame game is in 2 weeks. It's July 31st. So like we're so close. We're so close to football, guys. What I saw that, and I don't know if this has moved at all. We opened the season obviously against Green Bay. We are underdogs in that first game. We are 1.5 underdogs to open the season. How do you feel about that?
I probably saw it coming. I'm trying to think. I know when they played at Green Bay last year, I'm pretty sure the Packers were favored by maybe that same amount, maybe like a point, something like that. And I could be wrong. It might have been like the Lions by a point, but either way, I definitely see that line. I just think there is some uncertainty with our new offensive and defensive coordinators. You got players who are just returning back from injury. You don't know if Hutch is 100%, although I think he is 100% healthy. But there's still there's a lot of questions there. So going into a very hostile environment, as I think Mize just gave up a dinger. Dude, this All-Star game, man, like we talked it up. This is fucking shit. I don't think none of the Tigers players have a hit. Mize just gave up a dinger. Scooble gave up 2 runs. This is
what have we done, dude? We put these guys in the game. We lobbied for them, put them in the game.
It was us,
and they are embarrassing us. You're embarrassing us in front of our friends.
Frick, man. Yeah, I mean it's just an All-Star game. I hope it's not a bad omen for like second half of the season. Shouldn't even have put that in the atmosphere just now.
Take it back.
In the ecosystem, I take it back. But yeah, shit. What were we just talking about before? I totally lost my train of thought now. We're talking about
the Lions.
Oh, Packers. Yeah. No, I see it. The Packers are a good team. I think the Packers are a team that are definitely out for blood after, I would say, underperforming. I was going to say severely underperforming last year. They still had a decent season, made the playoffs, then got their ass kicked by the Eagles. But yeah, I can definitely see them being a point favorite. It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't scare me. I do think that the Lions still walk in there, a chip on their shoulder, and I think they win by 3 points. But yeah, it is what it is.
It's kind of like going back to the Lions of like 2 seasons ago, and that like last season it was truly, and it still is like we haven't moved the goalposts. Like it was truly Super Bowl or bust. Like we were coming in, we kept all of our coordinators. Another year of great draft classing. Like last year it was like the Lions were probably almost favored in every game. If they weren't, it was pretty close. This year it's a little bit, like I said, going back to like 2 years ago, in which like there's maybe some question marks. Like I don't think people are expecting us to steamroll everyone, and that's probably exactly where Dan Campbell likes it. Probably is a little more comfortable for him and the team to be in that like,
Oh yeah.
we're a good team, but like there's some question marks, and then go in with those question marks and maybe be underdogs every now and again, rather than like everyone expecting you to go in and roll everybody. So this is probably right where they want it. I thought it was a little bit interesting. I didn't think it would be that like already. Like if we kind of came out the season hot and maybe dropped 1 or 2 of our first 5, then I could start seeing the underdog betting line. So I was kind of surprised to see it just out the gate. But I mean, hey, I'm here for it. I know a lot of guys on our team have already circled that date, and just love playing Green Bay, and St. Brown loves playing. Is it? I can't remember. Do you know if it's home or away?
It's at Green Bay.
Yeah, so Amon-Ra St. Brown loves playing at Lambeau Field. I know Isaac Tesla already mentioned he's planning his Lambeau Leap. Might be a little premature. I don't know.
Wow.
For a guy that was considered a heavy reach, but hey, I love the confidence. So I thought that was interesting.
Are we hammering Isaac Tesla anytime touchdown for his first touchdown in the league in that first game? I mean, it's probably what, at least like plus 700 odds. Like I
love that so much, it scares me.
Yeah. Whatever it is, I love it all the way down to like plus 400. Hammer it. But a 1.5 underdog on the road. I think Vegas usually factors in like 2 points for the home team, somewhere around there for home field advantage. So really on a neutral field, Vegas is still thinking that the Lions are the better team. So yeah, I think they win that game. They've played it really well at Lambeau Field for the past 3 seasons, right? So yeah. I don't see this being any different.
Yeah, and then the last thing on the Lions we'll talk in as we get closer to, like I said, next week will probably be MLB trade deadline kind of week, and then the week after that we'll probably dive into being likely the week before the Hall of Fame game, in which the Lions are playing the LA Chargers. We'll probably dive into more full season expectations, MVPs, most improved players, stuff like that we did for this past Tiger season as well. So the last thing is that I saw their new, what I think is their new slogan. They have it hanging on the side of the building, and I think it's absolutely awesome. Just big Lions letters on the side of the building. It's hunting season, and I think I like that a lot. I think we're not going to be these, we're not going to be the underdog. We're not going to feel like the underdogs going into these games, even if we are, week 1. It's hunting season. We're out for blood. We're going to go out and we're going to hit you first. So I love that.
So this is interesting too, because it's an interesting spin. Last year, it seemed like the Lions, they were the hunted. When you are at the top of the food chain, or I guess I'm just contradicting myself with the top of the food chain thing. Strike that from the record. But it did seem like they were more, the guys being hunted. They're the big guy on campus, right? So I think they're maybe trying to flip that narrative and say, you know what, we still have that chip on our shoulder. We're still going out and doing the hunting. There are teams that are better than them. Teams like the Eagles, Super Bowl champs. I mean, I think they're going and they're hunting teams like that. So I do like that mentality.
Yeah. I love it. I think that's exactly that. I thought that exact same thing, that like we're not just happy with where we are. We're going out and hunting. So I think it's awesome. But that's really it for the Lions. So let's get to some grit of the week and then wrap up our show.
Yes, let's do it.
You want to go first?
You should go first.
I'll go first. Okay.
please go first. I'm gonna be thinking on the fly for this grid of the week. I'm not even gonna lie to the folks here.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, dog days of summer. We don't have that much sports going on. I do have mine already. I didn't write it in the show notes, so I'm not gonna be able to give you that much time. But I'm gonna give mine to the guy that we've already talked about in the show, and that's our guy Ron Holland. Ron, I was never like the biggest proponent of him when we drafted him 5th. I think it was 5th overall last year. I thought I saw a lot of too much of Asar in him. And I love Asar. Asar is easily one of my favorite players on the Pistons at the moment. I love Asar. I think every team needs an Asar. I don't think you can really operate with two Asars, meaning if both those guys are not a threat away from the basket, they can't play together. It limits too many lineups. And so I was saying, like, I love the kid. He was a little bit raw last year, like you mentioned. Saw him getting in a lot of fights. Like, he fits perfectly with the dog pound of Isaiah Stewart and those guys. But, like, if he doesn't have a perimeter shot and he's kind of just out of control, there really was no spot in this rotation for him. And again, it's just Summer League. You know, we see guys go off for 30 a night on Summer League. Reed Shepherd had, you know, was the top fifth in scoring and for the Houston Rockets, and he's actually, if you watch the games, he looked terrible. So, like, it's just Summer League. You need to remember that. But Ron Holland shooting 55% from three on 5.5 attempts, that's not nothing. Like, that's something that in one way or another should translate a little bit to the, you know, the upcoming regular season. His first offseason working with an NBA program, working with Fred Vinson, the best three-point shooting assistant in the NBA. I seem to think it's real. He still, in my opinion, like, was a little bit of a loose cannon. He got a technical in one game, and it's like, bro, it's Summer League. Let's just take a chill pill. And so, like, I think he needs to know when not to let that dog pound side of him out and stay in control a little bit. Sometimes he just kind of seems like he's running around, has so much energy, and is so raw. Like, he needs to reel it in a tiny bit. But he's proved to me, like, he has come out and shown me, like, he quote unquote is too good. Like I said, you can't really say that he's not too good, but he is quote unquote too good for Summer League. And I'm so ready for him to get actual minutes this upcoming season. He's my grid of the week. Definitely first. I think it's his first grid of the week. So shout out to Ron. Let's keep it going. I really, really hope that this is not just smoke and mirrors and it's actual legit. And you have a perimeter game coming into this next season, because that's going to take this roster to a different level.
Hell yeah. Riverboat Ron. I mean, like, it's going to be like, where were you when you witnessed Ron Holland's year 2 jump? Like, it's going to be awesome. It's going to feed families, man. Love that grid of the week. And I love you, taking a little bit longer to give Ron his flowers so that I have enough time to actually get my grid of the week too. So shout out to you for that. I'm definitely not filibustering this very second. My grid of the week, going with Jared Goff, man. We talked about him, but just, having him very much in the spotlight now with Quarterback, the Netflix show we talked about. Yeah, I mean, he's, and I get goosebumps every time that I see the clip where it's Dan Campbell in the locker room. He's handing the game ball to Jared Goff, and he said, "You're good enough for Detroit, Jared Goff." And it's just, man, I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. He is good enough for Detroit. He is Detroit. I'm so glad that he's here. I'm so glad that trade was made. It worked out for everyone. Worked out for the Rams. Worked out for the Lions. And I'm pumped for football season, man. And just knowing that we have our guy under center, we have him locked down to a contract, actually a decently team friendly contract. I think he's making like 35, 40 mil a year, which in today's age is a very good price for a good quarterback and a great game manager. And I say that a little facetiously, but yeah, Jared Goff, man, grid of the week. We love you.
Dude, that's a really good one for all the reasons you pointed out, and then some other reasons as well. So, like, I love that line so much. It's like that when Jason Benetti, when the Tigers finally broke through and got to the playoffs, and Jason Benetti laid the line out there that this is something along the lines of, like, this is a gritty team and they have a gritty city behind them, or something like that. Like, it was when you hear, it's one of those things when you hear it, you're like, that is so perfect. Dan Campbell telling Jared Goff, like, you're fucking good enough for Detroit, Jared. That's so true. Like, we talked about, last season, and what was it, last season or 2 seasons ago, with the Jared Goff chants, and I was on the side that, like, it ran its course. People were kind of using it a little bit too much, and I still think that, but, like, we just fully embrace this guy, and in one of his lowest times. I mean, even watching the quarterback show and hearing Jared talk about how the Rams went about that process. It's so Bush League how they truly, like, he had no idea it was going to happen until it had already happened, and they called him in and, like, told him, like shame on the Rams for doing that and coming here, like you mentioned when we were talking about the show, quote unquote, for his career to die, and we took him. We were like, no, you weren't a throw-in. Like, we were going after you. The picks are secondary. It wasn't the other way around. And that's so awesome. I'm so pumped for him. He's just a fantastic guy. The other reason that's a great grit of the week that you did not mention, Jared Goff and his wife just welcomed their first child to the world today. So
hell yeah,
they gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. I believe her name is Romy, Romy, Rami. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Goff. And so you just knew it subconsciously that this man is now a father. He deserves to win grit of the week.
Congrats on the sex, Jared Goff, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
He's got dad strength. He's got dad strength now.
Dad strength. I was just about to say, hopefully we get that, that dad bump. That it seems like every professional athlete, no matter what sport you're playing, like you have a kid and you just get that bump. You start playing better. You see golfers that are locked in and play better, but you definitely see it in sports too, like a baseball player who just rips off a massive hitting streak. So yeah, hopefully it works for Jared Goff too. Not that he even needs it, but even a bit more of a bump for him. That's scary season, man. Dare I say MVP? Don't want to get ahead of myself, but at the very least, grid of the week, Jared Goff.
Yeah, that's why Philip Rivers was so good in the league for so many years. He kept getting that baby bump. But so shout out to Jared Goff. Him and Ron probably could not be more different of guys, but they both are very well deserving of grid of the week there.
People forget I met Ron Holland too, dapped him up, after a Pistons game. That dude's awesome, man.
Yeah, that was a sick game. We got to talk to Malik Beasley a little bit, some sketchy stuff a little bit there.
R.I.P.
Talked to John Collins, who was talked about coming to Detroit. Asked him if he wanted to come to Detroit. He said yes, he wanted to. Then he was obviously traded elsewhere this offseason. So that's neither here nor there, though. But all right, that is our show, albeit a little bit of a shorter one. We know it's in the middle of summer. You guys got better things to do than to listen to our dumb takes here. So thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. You can find Kyle on Twitter at Kyle_Marino. You can find me on Twitter at Dutton_Tyler. You can follow the podcast itself on Instagram or TikTok at Gridiron Report, on Twitter at Gridiron Report 1, or you can watch us on YouTube at Gridiron Report. Finally, join the conversation next week by calling into the Gridiron Report voicemail for us to play and discuss on the podcast. That number is 313-306-79. Haven't had a listener voicemail in a few weeks, so as we kind of come up to the NFL season, make sure you guys are firing off your questions, your thoughts, your topics you want us to discuss. The MLB trade deadline, guys, call that voicemail and leave us a note there, and we'll play it and discuss on the podcast. Finally, if you guys like this episode, please take a moment to rate it 5 stars and leave us a review saying so. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, y'all. Restore the roar.
Yeah. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retired, grit iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on, blast beats, thunder and loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report, where the stories are proud. Tuned in, bring the heat, make your fandom a vow.